Hi, Dave here, and today we're going to do another art chat slash art demo, and we'll spend 30 minutes just painting something. And this time I think I'll try I'll try to make something up, right? And see what my imagination gives me, right? By the way, my current song that I keep kind of replaying over and over again is a remix of the song In the End. And the remix is by Fury Weekend, I believe. I'll be linking the song in the description below. It's pretty cool. You can't hear it because I do have the basic background thing or music playing, but because I could be hit for like a copyright thingy. So notice how I'm pretty zoomed out, right? And I'm not even sure if I should define things at this point, right? I want to create some kind of chaos and then find something within that chaos. And I do want to add more contrast, right? Just a bit. Maybe I should use this brush. Make it bigger. Ooh. Bigger. Because the last one, it did have some contrast, but I wasn't really satisfied with the results. Whoa. I was painting on a new layer, which is... I tried to paint within one layer just because it's what's going to give me confidence, right? I can always, if ever I'm working on something that's important, right? Like for a project, that's when I can be more managerial with the way I manage my layering. But right now, I just want to paint, right? I want to get used to painting directly and build that confidence, right? If I make a mistake, I just paint over it. I mean, sometimes I can't help but use the undo button, right? It happens, but just make sure you have by keeping it under one layer, you're kind of forcing yourself to be more direct, and it's a very transferable skill, right? Anyway, by the way, I've been hearing a lot of news, bad news, right? About how, I mean, it's not new, like the idea of censorship and shit. It feels kind of hopeless sometimes, and daunting and scary. Like, imagine if you said the wrong thing and then they just shut you off all your accounts, right? Imagine not being able to use the internet, right? Unless you have some kind of anonymous account or something, which is hard nowadays. Well, not really. It's hard to say, but like you're not like there's this push to not be anonymous, and this need to be verified, right? I mean, it's pretty scary, right? Because again, if you say the wrong thing, or if you know someone who supposedly did that quote-unquote wrong thing, or maybe they just have a different perspective, right? And maybe you don't necessarily have that perspective, but if they associate that person with you, or you with that person, they can just switch you off if they want to, right? I mean, what's happening here is you're engineering a society, right? And what's so sad is people are begging for this kind of thing. The people I expected to be more um, resistant are begging for this kind of world, right? This idea of the social, what's the word, credit system, right? If you don't do certain things, you get less points, right? It's kind of like a game. If you want to have more points, just do the quote unquote right things. By right, I mean what the ruling power says is right. Is this the world you want to live in, folks? I mean, even right now, this could be considered, bad information or misinformation or disinformation. The fact that I'm questioning things, and it's sad because, I'm young. I'm not that young, but for most of us, we're pretty young. The demographics of my channel are young folks, right? And we're still trying to build ourselves up, right? Most of us are kind of, the majority of my audience is in their late teens and 20s and early 30s, right? That's the main bulk of my audience. We're essentially not finished, We're still trying to figure things out. Especially when it comes to like our art, like how do we make money with it? Can we provide value? Should you start a business, Like, we're still trying to make it work. Imagine not being able to get the chance to make it work because you believe in something different. Right? Because everyone has principles. Or, I think people have, in general, principles, right? Imagine not being able to get that opportunity to make a living, right? Just because you don't agree. And for some, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your beliefs. It's kind of painful and sad just because I get it, you need food, right? Once that hunger is there, there are priorities, right? I think most people would choose to be especially if they have a family to support, The fact that people are watching what they say scares me. Right? You can't how'd I put it? It's this world that we're experiencing right now. Like, this is the thing of our generation, right? Each generation has its own thing, and we are the descendants of this, like, we have inherited this world, and in this timeline, this is our problem. And so we're going to have to I have no idea, deal with it, figure it out, I guess. By the way, I'm just letting the forums happen here. Usually you could like do a sketch in the beginning where you define like the entire silhouette, but sometimes I like to just let it happen and make shit up, right? And yeah, I'm worried, especially for an artist. You are most likely an artist. You have things to say with your art. You would have to be in this new world that's being built. You would have to be a bit more covert and careful with what you say, because even if you say something that's not necessarily bad, if someone doesn't like you, they could just claim you're some kind of whatever the bad thing is, and then that's it. And it's all in the guise of keeping us safe. It reminds me of that scene in Star Wars. Senator, what's his name? The Sith Lord, right? When he was in the Senate, he said, for for a safe and secure society. And they all cheered. You know, they gave him all that power. And then Padme mentions that, so this is the... Fuck, how did she say it? So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause. I think I said it right. So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause. They were all just cheering for their own enslavement. Just because... And they weren't necessarily bad. You know, those who voted for this thing. They just didn't see how they were being manipulated, you know? They genuinely believed they were doing good. It reminds me of the old saying, the road to hell is paved with what? Good intentions. You can be good all you want, but if the how of it is bad, like, what's the fucking point then? Think of the world you're trying to... Think of the end result. What is the price you have to pay to get this magical, perfect world that you want? Because they're selling you on a dream where there is no hate and no suffering. You know what I mean? This is the some dystopian shit, the stuff of movies, right? Or the stuff in movies, films, sci-fi. I mean, are these books or films warning us, or were they just kind of priming us for what's about to occur? Who knows, right? But, you know, what is our role as artists, right? A part of us need to make a living because, you know, we need food and a place to stay, you know, we need to support our families. How can you balance that need for surviving with thriving? Because you can survive all you want, but if your soul is dead, right? If you can't say what you want to say, are you really an artist? Oof. These are tough questions, folks. But they need to be considered, talked about. And, like, what kind of world are we leaving behind for our kids, right? And, you know, when it comes to support, you know, you can't really control the behaviors of others. Well, unless you're some kind of ruling power, maybe. But for the most part, as an individual, you cannot. And if you try to do too much of that, I mean, you can only do it to kids, your kids specifically, but, you know, there are limits to that. But that's pretty much it, you know. So what should you do? What should I do? What should I focus on? What can I do? Right? I have no idea. Because imagine trying to make, say, a business work, right? And imagine doing that and knowing that there's this bigger thing above that. You know, the bigger picture stuff. Where, I mean, imagine having a business finished, or you finally found something, or you finally made something work, right? And then one day you say the wrong thing and you just get deleted. And all this time you were working on your business and you weren't paying attention to this new world system that's being, or is now there, or that was being solidified when you were busy in your room figuring things out, you know? And it's hard balancing that pressure with figuring things out. But, you know, it is the challenge of our generation, right? And we should not, or I should not, be a pussy. That's the point. And it was never meant to be easy, I think. But, and sometimes I find it fascinating that people I guess we're all in different parts of our lives, right? Or we just have different interests and shit. But it seems like there are people out there that they're not really aware of. I mean, I'm not trying to sound superior, but I mean, I am in my own bubble, right? I guess that's true. Yeah, that's true, but I just find it fascinating that people can see. But you know what? I was there once where I could not see where all I had to think about was school and my crushes or whatever, right? Watching movies. But now, since you're aware of what's happening in the world, the bigger, scary stuff, you're kind of like, it's hard to detach given the importance of what's happening, right? Like, it's hard to ignore and shit. And all I can think of right now is, because that's the only thing I can do, and the only thing I can advise you to do, I guess, is to make sure you have your needs met first. Make sure you have money coming in. Build that system that generates money, whether it be freelance, a business, a side hustle, some passive income, a membership, courses, mentorships, right? Whatever it is you need to do to survive. Side jobs, a job. Because you won't be able to do much if you don't have the resources, right? So, given that we're about the same age, I think my best advice is to just figure that out. Maybe it can give you the opportunity to move somewhere that will give you more time, I guess. I don't really know. These are more like guesses, actually, because I don't know what to do. I'm stunned. And this is scary because if I don't take notice of this, I can end up becoming complacent. And that's the trick, learned helplessness, right? It's essentially where you just quit. You learn to be helpless. You just stop trying, right? How do you, let's say in a game, right? Like, how do you increase your chances of defeating the enemy, assuming you're playing with an actual person? You demoralize them, right? You decrease their morale because if you've broken their spirit, the chances of them trying or putting in an effort is going to decrease significantly. So you do your best to maybe if you could talk to the person, you'll insult them or whatever, or maybe you'll find a way to slowly beat them or annoy them until they just kind of quit, right? And you do it bit by bit until their spirit is broken, right? So whenever I feel down, I just think, you know what, this is kind of like a game. They, quote unquote, they want my spirit to be broken, Whatever they is for you, that's up to you, right? So, yeah. Handle your resources, how you make money, right? With your art, because I'm pretty sure you want to make money with art. And don't stay strong with your spirit, I know it's hard, but because one day maybe this is not even possible, being able to talk online. Well, maybe if you tally, or is that the word, if you're not really outspoken and you don't really have an opinion aside from what's allowed, well then fine, I'm sure you'll have a good time. But if you are a true artist, I mean, I'm trying to shame you a bit, we're meant to question, right? If that part of you is broken, if your need to create is broken, and to comment on society, because a lot of art is just commentary, right? We take something that's realistic and we make it our own, or we say some kind of story, right? Or it could be like a realistic story and then we put it in a sci-fi or fantasy kind of a world, right? And we just make it more interesting, more fascinating, so people can learn something, right? Our art can hook people in and serve as a conduit for stronger and more important ideas. You know, I think that's the value of art. You can make people watch, right? You can capture their attention. It's a gift that we have. You know, this interest, right? I'm pretty sure most of us are not talented, right? But because of that interest, this gives us a bit of power, I guess. Because if you have that interest, you know, the chances of you being able to paint or to push through learning skills is going to be pretty high. You know, you're going to want to just learn shit and improve, right? I'm not very good with mechs, obviously, so you can see me struggling at this point. This one is fucked up, bro. So yeah, I had a point, but I got distracted there. It's a bit bulky. Let's reduce. Zoom out a bit more. Yeah, maybe I was just too zoomed in. Oh yeah, I said more contrast, right? Shit. I haven't been paying attention. Maybe the top part is a bit too dark for me. Ooh. Anyway. So what's the point of this video, by the way? No idea. Maybe I should title this Thinking About the Future or whatever. It's good to have this kind of daily conversations in a quick chats and shit. Maybe a plate here in front. Suggestion of something inside. You know, adding horns is pretty common and not very original, so whatever. But that's the only thing I seem to lean towards too, right? What the fuck is this? It's some kind of Gundam with a predator mouth and a big gun behind its back. That has some kind of exoskeleton suit. Right? Anyway, good luck, boys and girls, you know. Let's do this. See the bigger picture while working at your craft, at your thing, right? And don't keep your spirit strong, you know? It seems kind of hopeless if you're gonna keep watching the news, right? So learn to turn it off. Learn to stop watching the news, even if it's alternative, like non-mainstream news, it's still it's good to be informed, but sometimes you can go into this, or I can go into this thing where I just keep watching fear porn, essentially, where it's you put yourself in a situation where you keep watching negative things, and they're technically important to know, but you've consumed so much in a day that you end up not being productive, like you need to be able to control, you need to be able to guard your mind, right? Guide your attention. It's good to be informed, but turn it off when you need to work, Learn to compartmentalize, right? There's a time and place. Because if you don't guard your mind, and just let everything flow in, it's going to affect your perception, right? If you watch too many negative things, you're going to think the world is negative for the most part, right? And the same thing or in reverse, watch too many positive things, you'll start to think everything is okay, which is also bad, Know when to stop watching news. When you go to work, and that's usually going to be your art, do your art, right? When you're done, then you can watch, be informed, learn something, right? Hopefully you're enjoying the recommended music or song, because I'm playing it in the background in my headphones here. Again, you can't hear it, but I suggest you play it, because it's kind of inspirational. Like the synth wave, is that the word? The kind of disco style of music it just fits the. Like, I feel inspired, and I feel like I want to work more, What is this thing? It's so messy, right? I mean, it's a great sketch. Well, not really. It's so unhinged. Like, there's so many parts and there's not enough consistency. You know what I mean? It happens. Whenever you sketch something and it doesn't turn out the way you want to, it happens, What's important is you stay with the habit, right? You won't always have good days. And that's another thing, just stick to the habit. I mean, I know you want to make progress, and progress is important because that's what makes you improve, right? But before you can even improve or make progress, you need to make sure the habit is there. The habit provides you that consistency for which you can make progress, right? So at the very least, your first kind of tick box is or checklist thingy, or your first thing. The first thing you should consider is whether or not you actually did the thing, and that's going to be most likely art, right? Did you make art today? Did you sketch? Did you paint? What have you done today, right? Did you do the habit? You are what you do, right? So make sure the habit is there. You can always improve on that habit as you go, right? It happens naturally anyway. But it needs to be there. Even if it's just sketching for like 5 minutes in a specific time, you can always build off from that as you gain more confidence, whatever, right? More contrast, I think, is better here. to really make it pop out and shit. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted more contrast. Two eyes just because it's cool. No logic, but yeah. If it's cool, right? Very, very impressionistic, indeed. Oh shit, we've been painting for about 30 minutes now. But hey, whatever, right? It's a good convo, right? Whatever. I'm just making a bunch of shapes that mean nothing, but hey. Gosh, I am struggling so hard trying to make it work. This is why you need reference. And you also need to paint every day with reference so you can actually make something interesting from imagination, right? Because right now you can see the limitations of my brain. It's too strong of a silhouette, right? Not enough variety. So don't quit, stay strong, stay free. You know, that's always the message that I try to push out there. And I think that freedom can be achieved, you know, by training every day. You know, start physically, work out, right? It's essentially discipline, right? Think of Jocko Willink. If you haven't heard of him, you know, just watch a couple of his videos. You know, discipline. It's kind of his tagline: discipline equals freedom, right? Because if you are disciplined in something, it will create the avenue. the canvas, it is the foundation for which you can exercise your freedom, right? If you have a strong body, you won't be limited by what you can do physically, right? If you are good in painting, you won't be limited by what you can paint. You know, if you learn regularly, continuously, you won't have a hard time navigating life because you know what to do. You know, you're less ignorant. You will never be fully aware of everything, which is fine. It's impossible to be aware of every single thing. But the less ignorant you are, the more informed you are, the better your perception will be, and the better your perception, the better your actions will be, right? Because they're informed. Your actions are informed by your perception of the world, right? Your philosophy and shit. And all of that philosophy, that thinking of yours is dependent on what you see, on the information that's available to you. And again, you don't even have to agree with that information, you know? For as long as you have a varying set of perspectives, you have the tool sets, you know? You have you have good variety in terms of knowledge, right? And perspectives. So, the point is, let's use the mixer brush here. The mixer brush, right? Just blend things. The point is this, folks. Keep training. The point is to keep training, keep painting, keep learning, and to stay free.